Hey, what's up guys? Rado here with Andre from Motoventures. Motoventures is a dirt bike school and Andre is professional coach. You do this now full-time for a living, right?
Full-time.
Full-time. All right, so he's the right guy to talk to. You know guys, I don't know any cool stuff. I don't know any cool stuff on a dirt bike. If I want to show off, there is nothing I can do. So Andre needs to help me a little bit. And we have this KX112, and I was thinking that since my son has this bike and I don't know cool stuff like, you know, slow wheelies and pivot turns, it's still kind of hard for me to do. So I was thinking like, hey, since we have this bike, this would probably be my best chance to learn all this stuff. Andre, what do you think about learning all this on a small bike like that?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of the times we find when you step down a size, you'll learn quicker, and of course you'll learn safer, and it's just more productive to step down a size. Same techniques apply to the big bike.
Right, so that's my plan. I would like to first learn it on this bike. Andre will show me the steps and we'll go through the details, how to do the slow wheelie, how to do those things, clutch control, you know, the throttle control and all that. And then I can learn it on a smaller bike. Many of you can do the same, and then we can translate it into our normal big size bike that we normally ride.
Sounds good, Rado. Let's get to it. Okay, the first step is when you're learning how to wheelie, you got to get the weight transfer and to be able to pop the front end off the ground. So you load the suspension, and then when you unload the suspension, you feed the throttle to get the front end up off the ground. Is to load the suspension. As the suspension is unloading, that's when you feed it throttle to pop the front end off the ground. Once you're ready to practice, you got to pop it at least 100 times. It's going to take many times to get comfortable with it, but get comfortable getting that weight transfer, get the front end to pop off the ground, get comfortable covering the rear brake. When you want to get comfortable using the rear brake, you can simply just sit on the bike, cover the rear brake with your foot, pop the front end up, hit the rear brake, let the front end come down. That's how you get comfortable using the rear brake. Once you learn how to pop the front end off the ground, then you need to get comfortable by carrying the wheelie. So you pop the front end up and then carry it and then drop it. Pop it and carry it. So pop a wheelie, get the front end off the ground and carry it for 10 feet and then drop the front end.
Okay, so you just cover the clutch with the one finger all the time, and as you are popping the wheelie, as you have your wheelie up, do you play with the clutch or you keep it in one position?
Yes, the clutch is an additional control device, so that will help transfer the power from the engine to the rear wheel, and you really have to have good clutch control to get that feel for keeping that bike up.
So do you also keep it up with your throttle?
Yes, throttle control, clutch control, both very important for doing a wheelie. Okay. The third step is, once you get comfortable with popping the front end off the ground and being able to carry a wheelie for a distance, is you got to be able to pop the wheelie and get it to the balance point, and then of course you hit the rear brake to drop the front end down. So you pop the front end up, get it to the balance point, hit the rear brake, let the front end come down. Once you build consistency and get the feel for the brake, then you will be learning how to do balance wheelies. Final step, getting comfortable with that rear brake.
Down, right?
Yes, overshoot it, get comfortable hitting that rear brake, letting the front end come down. Once you get better at it, you just don't hit the rear brake as hard so the front end doesn't pop all the way down.
All right, so will be good step in learning to hit it a little bit more than you should, and then go on a brake and bring it back down.
Exactly.
To get the feel in, right?
At first, just pop it up, slam the rear brake, let it come down. As you get better, you could use less rear brake and just keep it at that balance point.
Cool. That's what I want to do!
Yeah, pivot turn, the same thing, same concepts apply to pivoting and getting the bike to the balance point. Once the bike is at a balance point, you gotta do, you know, it's like a rudder. When you turn the bike and let it rotate on that axis like a rudder would on a boat.
Dude, that's amazing. You know, like, I wish I can do this on my 300, and that's why I'm so happy that this, you know, I have this KX112 and you show me these little tricks here, because I'm definitely gonna jump on this bike and do it, you know, get that into my blood, because I see people that are smaller than me, you know, doing all these pivot turns.
All the same concepts apply, Rado. All the same concepts that you would use on the small bike apply to the big bike. Getting the bike to the balance point, that way you can get it to rotate around the turn. And you can't do it unless the bike is at the balance point though. If the front end is not high enough, you can't turn the bike and get it to rotate. All right, next we have a log. So one great way to get over a log is to use a pivot turn. So you line up next to the log, you're parallel with the log, and once you get the front end up and get it rotated over the obstacle, then you literally just ride over the obstacle. Like in this case, it's a telephone pole. So the first step is you want to line up right next to the obstacle. In this case, we've got a telephone pole. So you line up with your tires parallel to the obstacle. Once you do that, you pop up the wheelie, get it to rotate, and get it over the log.
How far are you supposed to be from the log?
It's a matter of inches. It's about, we call it the blip distance, and it's roughly the width of the front wheel.
Okay.
So just like that.
Okay, so that's the easy one, but how then can you do the one when you actually jump over, like you do 180?
That's just more power. You want to add to it more power, you get the air, and you can get it to rotate that way. But for most people, this is the best way to practice, is just do it slow and work your way up step by step. Don't go for the gold in the first run.
Okay, now can you show us the gold?
Absolutely.
There you go! That's what I'm talking about. Nice.
You want to do another one? That's how you do a wheelie turn.
Dude, that looks so amazing, and I really want to do this on my my 300. I haven't practiced this yet, and it's somewhat intimidating for me.
Of course, that's why it's very important to go down a size. You can practice on this bike. This Kawasaki KX112 is a great bike to practice on. It's less intimidating than a big bike, and this is probably one of the biggest bikes you can get without going to a full-size bike. So even for your average adult, to go down a size is the way to go.
Now, what do you think about a small size adult, or even like the women, you know, they are maybe 5'5" or 5'6", 140 pounds. Do you think this kind of bike would do for the trail riding?
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody that's inseam, you know, has got a short inseam like me, having a small bike, again, it's much more manageable out on the trail. And when the trail gets tight and the situation gets tough, it's much easier to having a smaller bike.
How about the power? You think there's enough power for that?
Absolutely. The power to weight ratio on this Kawasaki KX112 is phenomenal. When I was a kid, you know, we didn't have anything like this, but nowadays, with a super mini like this, the power to weight ratio is off the scale.